Chiboy had only 500 Nigerian nairas left in his pocket. His family hadn't eaten since yesterday. Then, on his way home, he found a wallet filled with more money than he had ever seen. In that moment, one decision would change his life forever. The sun had barely risen, but Chiboy was already awake. Every morning, he left home before anyone else, hoping today would be different. He searched everywhere for work, construction sites, mechanic shops, supermarkets, but every answer was the same. "We are not hiring. Come back next month." "Sorry, we already found someone." With tired feet and an empty stomach, Chiboy walked home carrying only 500 Nigerian nairas in his pocket. It was all the money he had left. As he entered their small one-room apartment, he saw his younger sister sitting quietly at the table with an empty plate in front of her. She looked up and forced a smile. "Sister, brother, are we going to eat tonight?" Chiboy paused. His heart sank. He wanted to tell her everything would be okay, but he didn't even know how. He knelt beside her and gently held her hand. "Chiboy, don't worry. God will make a way." She smiled, trusting every word he said. But as Chiboy looked away, tears filled his eyes. He quietly slipped the last 500 Nigerian nairas into his pocket. Outside, dark clouds gathered over the city. Inside, hope seemed to be fading. Little did Chiboy know. Before the day ended, he would face a decision that would change his life forever. Sometimes, the greatest test comes when you have the least. With only 500 Nigerian nairas left in his pocket, Chiboy continued walking through the crowded streets. His stomach growled with hunger. His mind was filled with worry. "How will I feed my sister tonight?" he wondered. As the sun began to set, something caught his eye. A brown leather wallet lay on the side of the road. Chiboy looked around. People hurried past, unaware it was there. Slowly, he bent down and picked it up. It felt heavy. He carefully opened it. His eyes widened. Inside were thick bundles of cash, several bank cards, and an identification card. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. His hands began to tremble. "This money could change everything," he whispered. For the first time in months, he imagined buying enough food for his family. He imagined paying the overdue rent. He imagined his little sister returning to school with new books and a new uniform. Then he looked around again. No one was searching for a wallet. No one was calling out. No one even noticed him. He slowly closed the wallet and held it tightly against his chest. A battle had begun, not around him, but inside his heart. One voice whispered, "Keep it. Nobody will ever know." Another voice reminded him, "Doing the right thing is never easy." Chiboy stood silently in the middle of the busy street, holding a wallet that could either solve all his problems or become the greatest test of his life. Sometimes, the hardest choices come disguised as the greatest opportunities. Chiboy tightened his grip on the wallet. He looked at the money once more. It was enough to buy food. Enough to pay the rent. Enough to give his little sister a better life. For a moment, he slipped the wallet into his bag and slowly began walking home. Every step felt heavier than the last. His heart beat faster. Then, a familiar memory filled his mind. He remembered his late mother kneeling beside him when he was a little boy. She smiled gently and said, "My son, if you ever have to choose between money and your character, choose your character. Money comes and goes, but integrity stays with you forever." Chiboy stopped walking. He closed his eyes. A tear rolled down his cheek. He took the wallet out of his bag and stared at it again. "I can't keep what doesn't belong to me," he whispered. He opened the wallet once more and carefully looked through the identification card. There was a name, an address, and a phone number. Without another thought, Chiboy turned around and began walking toward the owner's address. He didn't know what awaited him. But for the first time that day, his heart felt lighter than his pockets. Integrity is choosing what is right, even when no one is watching. Following the address on the identification card, Chiboy arrived at a quiet neighborhood just as the evening sun began to set. He stood in front of a modest house. For a moment, he took a deep breath. Then, he knocked on the door. A few seconds later, an elderly man slowly opened it. His face looked tired. His eyes were filled with worry. "Can I help you?" the old man asked softly. Without saying a word, Chiboy held out the brown leather wallet. The old man froze. His hands trembled as he took it. He quickly opened the wallet. Every bundle of cash, every bank card, everything was still inside. Tears filled his eyes. "I've been looking everywhere for this," he whispered. "My wife is in the hospital. This money is for her emergency surgery." Chiboy looked toward the house and saw family photos on the wall and a hospital bag sitting near the door. The old man's voice broke. "I thought all hope was gone." He stepped forward and hugged Chiboy tightly. "Thank you," he said through tears. "You didn't just return my wallet. You gave my wife another chance to live." Chiboy smiled quietly. "I only did what was right." The old man looked at him with deep gratitude. In that moment, both men realized that honesty had done far more than return a lost wallet. It had restored hope. A single act of honesty can become someone else's miracle. The elderly man reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick envelope. "My son," he said with a smile, "please take this as a reward." Chiboy looked at the envelope, then gently shook his head. "No, sir. I didn't return your wallet for money. I returned it because it was the right thing to do." The old man was speechless. He had met many people in his life, but honesty like this was rare. Before Chiboy left, the old man handed him a small business card. "If you ever need anything," he said, "come and see me." A few days later, still searching for work, Chiboy remembered the business card. He visited the address. The elderly man welcomed him with a warm smile. "I've been expecting you," he said. "I need someone I can trust. Not just someone with skills, but someone with integrity." That same day, Chiboy was offered a full-time job. For the first time in many months, he walked home with good news instead of disappointment. When he opened the front door, his little sister ran toward him. "Brother, did something good happen?" Chiboy smiled with tears of joy. "Yes. God rewarded our honesty." That evening, their table was filled with food. Their home was filled with laughter. And their hearts were filled with gratitude. Chiboy could have kept the money and solved today's problems. Instead, he chose honesty. In return, he gained something far greater than cash, a future built on trust, dignity, and hope. Remember, the right choice isn't always the easiest one, but it can change your life forever. If this story touched your heart, like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes honesty still matters.